What is up, guys? My name is Gustavo with Gustavo's Finances, and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk to you guys about how to research a management team. Researching a management team is one of the most important steps while doing your due diligence over a company. Now, studying a management team can oftentimes be very difficult since there's not a whole lot of information over the management team and CEO. Now, unless the CEO is a well-established, prominent leader, it's going to be very burdensome to gather enough reliable information to figure out what type of person they are. So what do you do if a company you're researching doesn't have a very scrutinized management team? How do you go about it? And where would you find this information? So something that I would do and that I completely recommend doing is going onto the company's website. On the company's website, you can scroll all the way down to the bottom into where it says Investors Relations or Investors, and you can find a lot of information there. So I'm going to be giving you guys an example with Apple. So here I am on Apple's website. I'm going to be scrolling all the way down to the bottom, and you can see right here, Investors, but you can also see Apple Leadership. I'm going to click Apple Leadership. So right here you can see all the executive profiles, and these are the people you want to be researching. So you want to go to Tim Cook, you want to read all about him, and then something I also would recommend is go into a new tab, and I would type in Tim Cook. That way you can kind of research a little bit more about what he's about. You can go to Wikipedia. You could read about him when he was born, what he did for education, what he did before Apple, what he did with Apple, and how he's been doing throughout the years. So it's very interesting, and then you can see what type of leadership he has, how he is with the public, his personal life, and all that good stuff. So that's how I would go and research the management team and the CEO. I would definitely recommend reading all these people, and it does not take a lot of time, guys. It takes about 15 minutes. You're going to want to read about Katherine Adams. After you read that, you can go to Google. You're just going to want to go type in Katherine Adams, and then right here you can just research more about people. Early life academics or influences, and if it doesn't give you enough information, like I said, then you can just go to LinkedIn, or you could go to wherever you think you could find information for, like Apple names. Like you could go here and they'll talk about her, and you see there's a lot of information about these people, and sometimes the information isn't that great, so you just want to keep going and keep researching all these people, and just go to Angela, and then just keep repeating the same process. And that's how I would go with it, and that's how I research my management teams. I go and I Google them, I Google their names, I type it in, and I just want to read about them. I want to know what type of person they are, how they are, who's in charge right now, who used to be in charge. Because all of this matters, guys, and it's not very difficult. It'll take about 15 minutes of your time. So as you can see, sometimes it's kind of difficult to find a lot of information over the management team and CEO. Now, Apple's a very established company, so their information might be a lot easier to find. Now, in a company you might want to research, it might not be. But you know what? There's an alternative, a good alternative, and it's called management numbers. These numbers are going to include return on equity, which is net income divided by equity. Return on invested capital, which is net income divided by equity plus debt. And the last number is going to be debt, which the way I like to do it is by subtracting ROE minus ROI, which is return on equity minus return on invested capital. Now, before you get discouraged, I'm about to show you where exactly you can find these numbers and how simple it is to find these numbers. So, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to type in Apple ROE, which is what I was talking about earlier, Apple's return on equity. So if you want to find this number, it's right here. You go to macro trends and it already tells you where you can find this number. So you're going to ignore that and then you're going to go to the bottom. This is what I like to see. So right here, they say 10 years a company has probably been through an economic cycle. And if you want to go down, you can look at 10 years ago, which would be around 2009. And you want to look at these numbers. You want to see how reliable they are, if they're good or not, and how consistent they are. So you can see that, 30 to 40% has been the norm for Apple, which is pretty consistent, and 30 to 40% is very good return on equity. So you can see Apple's return on equity right now is 48.68%, which is amazing. They say look for a company with at least the 15% or better each year. Apple has a 48% return on equity. Now to find the return on invested capital, you just literally go right here, return on investment. And then you just scroll down again and then return on investment right here. And like I said, you want to look at the 10 years because this is how the numbers from a management team works. So if a company still has a strong ROE and ROI, it's a company to look at. And so clearly this company has a good return on investment and it's pretty consistent as well. And it's above 15%, which is awesome. This is what you're looking for, guys. Return on investment and ROE, like I just showed you before. Now these numbers show you how consistent the management team is, how reliable this management team is. So if a company has probably been through an economic cycle or a change in management team throughout these 10 years, and these numbers are still doing great, then this is a company you should be looking at. Now, I'm going to show you where exactly you can find the ROE and ROI if you wanted a more accurate number. So you're going to go to financials and you're going to scroll down to where it says net income. And this is the year, this is their last quarter update right here, 59,531. Now this is in millions. But it's a lot easier to see a number when it's this small rather than in millions. So you're going to have this number right here and you're going to go to the balance sheet and you're going to divide it by the shareholder equity. And then that's how you would get the ROE. Now for the ROI, it's almost the same thing. You're going to go over here and you're going to go to net income as well. Same number, except you're going to divide it liabilities and shareholder equity, which just means you're adding the equity plus the debt together so you can divide it to figure out a more accurate return on investment. And that's pretty much it, guys. It's not that hard to find these numbers. You could literally look up any company you want, and Macro Trends is a very good website to go, because literally the income statement is here, the balance sheet, the cash flow statement, and when you go to other ratios, the numbers you're looking for are right here already, ROE, ROI, and if like you're interested in other numbers, I mean the debt to equity ratio is there, the quick ratio is there, the current ratio is there, and it gives you like longer than 10 years ago, like it gives you pretty good numbers to look at. And this is exactly where you want to go in order to find out if the management team is worth it in the company you're looking for or not. Now, in order to find the debt of a company, all you want to do is subtract the ROE minus the ROI. Now, the numbers I showed you guys were 48.68% minus 32.03%. And when you subtract those numbers, you get a 16.65%. So what that means, from the return of equity, out of the 48.68%, 16% of that was debt. So that gives you a return on invested capital of 32%, which is still great. That's above 15% that you're looking for. Now, you guys have to remember that different industries and different sectors are going to have a different type of return on capital and a different type of return on equity. So 15% is a number you want to look for both of these numbers, except if it's not 15%, but it's consistently like 10% or 8% or 12%, that's still a good company to look at. That means their management team is still doing a very good job. So don't get discouraged just because it's not that exact number and it's not 15%, okay? Because if it's consistent and it's still earning return on equity and return on invested capital consistently every year, that's an awesome management team, and that is something that you want to be considering when looking into a company. Now, that is all I have for today, guys. Thank you guys for joining in today. If you have any questions and if I didn't explain something clear enough, please comment down below, as I would love to answer all of your questions, and I love to see engagement in my feed. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you, guys.